Alright guys, how's it going? I finally found a mic that doesn't sound terrible. Doesn't sound the best, but it'll give you a good idea of what the exhaust and stage 3 intake and all that stuff will sound like. I don't have the DB killer out. I have it in with the spark arrestor. After watching some footage from yesterday's ride, I feel like if I were to take the DB killer and spark arrestor out, it would be too loud and peak the mic, because it already does a little bit. But it's only at real high RPM, and I can't tell if it's the wind or not. I just put a windsock on this mic last night, and I'm gonna try and keep my visor closed as much as I can, keep all the wind out. So the reason I said stage 3 intake is, according to Gabbro, the upmap tuning guy, a full system, either his stage 2 intake or the DNA intake and a tune, is stage 3. And that's pretty much everything you can do to this bike without getting to the internals. I did delete the exhaust valves, as I mentioned in the last video, which basically just open up in like second gear on decel and stuff to help burn off some of the built up fumes in the exhaust to help pass emissions. And they basically just push fresh air into the exhaust to help ignite the leftover fumes. I deleted that because I was originally going to get this bike dyno tuned, and I didn't want it throwing off the AFR readout and all that. Whether you get the block off plate for that or you don't, with an exhaust, any exhaust you put on this bike, you'll notice when you shift into second gear and you're decelerating, it pops and bends. And that's what the bike's designed to do. You just don't hear it because of the factory exhaust. But you put something more open on it, you'll start noticing that. I was able to even notice that before I put an exhaust on it. When I was getting way up in the RPMs, downshifting, I'd notice it would start. You'd hear a faint little gurgle sound. It's not because it's running lean or anything, especially now that this bike's got the new map on it. Referring to the new map, if you have a stock bike or an exhaust or an intake, or an exhaust and an intake, I would recommend it. It has drastically changed how this bike feels in the throttle response department. Like coming slow like this and rolling onto the throttle, it doesn't give you a sudden jerk anymore. I used to get thrown off by that a lot. It doesn't register the lower percentage as well at all. It kind of feels like it just jumps up to 5 or 10% throttle. So that's the one of the big things, is how well you can roll onto it at any percentage, and it's smooth. Another thing is, when it comes to power, it's a good difference, but it's not going to be a huge 10 horsepower jump or something. It's like 3 to 5 horsepower, I think, which is still a pretty significant jump on a motorcycle, but it's all in the mid-range, kind of $3,000 to $8,000 or $9,000 is when it pulls real hard compared to stock. Upper RPM near red line, it still pulls more. I think it's got a 2 or 3 horsepower increase, but you really feel a lot more grunt and torque. I'm gonna slow down, and then after this corner up here, I'll rev it out pretty high in all the gears. I'll wait till I get past these houses. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick that up, but coming around that corner when I was shifting up, I was short shifting it a little, and that's kind of right where I was short shifting, is right into the meat, I feel like, of the power, and that's where you're going to really hear the intake sucking. Pretty much like 4 to 7 grand, I'd say, is when the intake is real noticeable. And it's almost as loud as the exhaust. It's hard to differentiate between the exhaust and the intake. They kind of both happen together and kind of vibrate your head a little. That's probably not the best way to put it, but it sounds awesome. I'd say if you want an exhaust and you want a loud one, go with the Dominator HP3. If you don't want a loud one, I'd get something else, because even with the spark arrestor and the the decibel killer and the spark arrestor, it's still, I think, 98 to 100 decibels. It's somewhere in there. I think closer to 100, because the decibel killer only takes off 3 to 4 decibels, and it's rated at 105 decibels. And the spark arrestor, I don't know how many decibels that takes away. It definitely changed it and made it a little bit quieter, but I don't know how much. I got my visor open. I'll do a little roll on. yesterday, me and my buddy who owns a T7, we swapped. We're kind of just comparing bikes and whatnot. He's having some wind issues, and his visor's tall enough, it's just the side. We were talking on the Cardos, and he was saying that this bike is hard to ride slow, because when you get on it, the noise is just amazing. It just wants you to get aggressive. And another thing is, before I got this bike tuned with the up map and I just had the exhaust, it was very stinky. Anybody that rode behind me would always comment how it smelled like shit, and it would make my clothes smell bad too. When I get off the bike, I could smell a lot of exhaust on me, and once I got it tuned, that all went away, which makes me think it was rich. But also at the higher RPM, it just didn't have any power. So I think it was a rich and lean situation. I think lower RPM it was a little rich, higher RPM it was lean. I'm gonna shut up now and I'll just ride a little spirited and let you guys listen. gonna be the end of this video, but I might put in a external sound clip. I might put in an external sound clip of going up a hill by my house, and then you'll get a better idea of the exhaust. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. I'll leave that as the last bit of the video. Thanks for watching.